Pharmacist Ben.
I'm here, but I don't see you.
You don't see me.
Do you ever have so many browsers open you can't find anything?
Yes.
Yeah, it's crazy, right?
Well,
You
no.
can't find the Zoom, you can't find the YouTube, you can't find the Restream. You
No,
hear it. That happens to me a lot.
Well, that's
Do you keep a lot of windows open too?
Oh, too many, but this computer can't handle as many as
okay.
So.
All right. Tabs, I mean, not windows.
I know exactly what you meant. Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. So we got do we have new people on?
People are just joining.
Yeah, somebody's got a crush on you there.
They're talking about you, man.
They're talking about you.
They don't know me. They know you. And let's see. I know Mary is on Rumble, and we have a good number of people on Rumble already.
Yeah.
Everybody on Rumble, and we will get it going. Pharmacist Ben, hey, Bruce, I do have a quick question, non-related to health.
Okay.
So it's kind of related to health.
Okay.
It's about the health of a basketball player.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of a basketball player named Sophie Cunningham?
Sophie? Like a lady basketball player?
Like a lady basketball. You heard of Caitlin Clark?
Oh, yeah, definitely heard of her. Did I ever tell you my Nancy Lieberman story?
You did kind of tell me about it, but I'd like to hear it again.
I used to play basketball with, well, I didn't play with her, but I'd watch her. She, I was in Queens. I grew up in Queens. I didn't grow up. I went to high school in Queens. And, you play basketball. You can't really play baseball. There's not a lot of fields around, right? So you play a lot of basketball. And so we would all just shoot hoops all the time. And then there was this girl, and she'd come over, and she was just the most incredible basketball player you've ever seen. And, and she didn't like jam dunk, but she could roll.
Finger
she
roll.
Was just amazing. Yeah, she could do the little roll over the fingers into the net or through the rim. You know what I'm talking about. And I don't know much about basketball, but she would blow everybody away, and that was Nancy Lieberman.
Yeah, she's
definitely
one of the best of all time.
Yeah, so we knew she was great. She was beating everybody. She was beating all the guys. And,
yeah.
So I don't know who Sophie Cunningham. What's wrong with Sophie Cunningham? I don't know that name.
Sophie Cunningham, she's an anomaly because she's I'm not going to say the only, but she's an extremely blonde.
Okay.
And dare to say good-looking basketball player that is always fighting people. Like,
is she big? Is she like Bill?
I mean, she's a basketball player.
Well, no, not all more really. Is she tall?
She's not big,
Okay.
She's got to be like 6 foot or something like that.
Well, she's not like 6'8" or something like that.
No, not that big. But she plays with Caitlin Clark, and
is she the one who punched her in the throat?
No,
I saw Caitlin Clark getting punched in the throat.
She may have defended her while she was getting punched in the throat.
Okay.
But she's like the enforcer.
How good is Sophie Cunningham?
Pretty darn good.
Pretty darn good. Okay.
Yeah, nothing like Caitlin Clark, but pretty darn good.
So what's the point? What do you ask me about her health?
Well, just mental health. I mean, it just seems odd that
what seems
number one, she's captivating the country. It's very, very polarizing, her aura.
Yeah, but look, you're talking about her. We're talking about her.
I think she's fantastic.
Yeah, well, we're talking. So whatever she's doing, we're talking about her. It's all entertainment, man. It's all entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Same with politics. All that stuff's entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
Just to keep us entertained.
Yes. Are you not entertained?
It's kind of entertaining. When I was I want to get to questions here, but a long time ago, I had a friend. She watched soap opera. Girlfriend. She watched soap operas. I didn't really watch soap operas, but I started getting into watching soap operas because she was watching them, and I would watch them. I had a couple that I watched pretty regularly, until I realized something about the soap operas. Nothing ever happens. Nothing ever gets resolved. It just gets you to the next one, the next one. That's what it took me a while to for it to click in that that's the little game they're playing. I stopped watching soap operas, but that's how politics is.
Nothing gets resolved.
No, it just keeps going and it strings along, and then you forget about it. Something new comes along, and it's all soap opera. Sports is a soap opera too, but at least it's not. They don't pretend it's real. Politics, they pretend that's real.
Oh yeah,
that's all soap opera. What I care about is getting people healthy, because when you're not healthy, nothing matters. Your money doesn't matter. Politics don't matter. Nothing about the world matters when you're not healthy. If you have colon, God forbid, something wrong with your digestion, even if you're just nauseous for that matter, even if you're just nauseous, think about the last time you were nauseous. Did you care about when you were, I don't know if it's happened to you recently, but I haven't, thank God, hasn't happened to me. But the last thing I'm thinking about is politics or sports, right?
Of course, I'm going.
Yeah, not just even you throwing up, just that queasy feeling.
Queasy feeling.
Yeah.
I'm not really attuned to the feelings of. I just iron stomach and just
iron stomach. Praise God, because being nauseous doesn't sound like it's that. It doesn't seem like it's like that. It's not life threatening, certainly, but man, it can be misery. But let's get to some questions here.
Okay, well, I'm going to start with a question from Camille. And by the way, these are all the questions that I have, and I hope we can get through most of them. And if you folks are on Rumble or Facebook or YouTube have questions, make sure you get them in early so we can gauge how many we can sneak in tonight. But most of these questions are folks who listened to you on Coast to Coast last Tuesday.
Okay.
Intrigued by what you were saying.
Is that your assessment, or did they actually say that?
Well, they wouldn't be asking you questions if they didn't think that what you had to say was sensible.
All right. Well, I've been doing how long I've been doing Coast to Coast?
12 years.
Yeah. How'd you know that?
Because I was on the phone with you and somebody else on Saturday.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, 12 years, and Coast to Coast reminds me, should remind everybody, that while people on this call know a lot about nutrition, or at least are interested in nutrition, most of the world doesn't have any idea. Most of the country certainly has no idea about what's available to them in the way of restoring themselves back to health and improving their longevity. They're not being told, so they don't know they have options. This is the vast majority of Americans. The truck drivers and the housewives and the blue collar folks and the older folks and the people who are not necessarily immersed in the culture. They don't know. They're just going to the doctor and they're getting prescription after prescription after prescription, and nobody's telling them that maybe they need a little bit of vitamin C, or maybe they need some B complex. And considering these are water soluble and you excrete them, if you're not ingesting them intentionally, it's almost impossible not to be deficient. Even just deficient with the bare basics, let alone deficient compared to your increased needs when you have some kind of health problem. So Coast to Coast reminds me of that, because the calls I get on Coast to Coast are not like the kind of calls we get on the kind of the questions we get on Coast to Coast are not the same kind of questions we get on this program or on Daily with Doc. They're very, very basic and very unsophisticated. And what that means to me is, number one, there is a lot of people that we can help, a lot. And number two, there's a lot of business to be had. So between the two, if you go out and if you're a distributor, or if you just want to make a difference in the world, if you go out into the mainstream, and leave the world of people who are interested in health, interested in nutrition, interested in foods, our people, and you go out there, you can make a big difference in people's lives, particularly if they're already interacting with the medical model, or they're on a bunch of drugs. I'll give you a story here in a second. And if you want to do business, it's a great opportunity to do business. I'm working with a guy. He's from Alabama, super nice guy, salt of the earth. He has Parkinson's, or he had Parkinson's. When he called me, he was on medication. They wanted to increase the medication. The medication was making him dizzy, this, that, and the other. So I said, look, Parkinson's, and I'll say this to everybody who's listening, Parkinson's disease is one of the easiest chronic health challenges to reverse, because it's almost 100% about toxicity. And that toxicity comes in obviously from the digestive tract. And I've seen at least a dozen studies that talk about, and I'm not a big believer in studies, but when something happens, when you get the same results over and over and over again, there's some meaning there. there's at least a dozen, maybe more, about the intestine and about dysbiosis and about endotoxins. And it's got probably 30 or 40 studies, maybe even more. And Parkinson's disease. And even today, they're giving fecal transplants for Parkinson's disease. I know you don't like hearing it, but what does that tell you? We have to understand. We, as a culture, if we're interested in health, have to understand the intimate relationship between point number one on the triangle of disease, dysbiosis, and chronic health challenges. Even things like allergies, like seasonal allergies, or UTIs, or Parkinson's, that you wouldn't necessarily connect with the digestive system, are almost 100% backtrackable to dysbiosis, leaky gut, and probably histamine and mast cells, all of which are intestinal issues. So we got to get it through our heads that there's an intimate connection between the intestine and everything else. And the problem is, AJ, my friend, is there's some kind of mental block about food. Like, people don't want to hear about food, and they have preconceived ideas about food. I talked to one of our friends, I don't want to mention her name, this morning, and she's having the same problem she's having, with her menstrual cycle. And I said, and I've been telling her about the foods, and this person knows, she knows about the foods. And I said to her, look, you got to start off with this idea that something's getting into your system, and unless it's IV, it's going to be food. You got to just start off with that, then find it. And she couldn't even, this poor girl, a smart girl. She said to me, I said, do you have any, what are your symptoms? Have you noticed any symptoms? No symptoms. I'm fine. I'm nothing going on. And then I said, look, you got to help me here. You got to find something, because I can't work with you if I don't know there's symptoms, and I know there's got to be. And she says, oh yeah, I'm bloated all the time. Oh yeah, and I have a tender breast. And then she named a couple other things. I said, I just asked you, had symptoms? She said no. And she's not dumb, and she wasn't lying. She wasn't trying to mislead me. It's just, and she said this, they're just become normal. Our symptoms become normal. But when you fast, first of all, that resets everything. And then when you start eating again, it's like, whoa, all of a sudden you notice things. That's why fasting is really helpful. But if you don't want to fast, and I can see, fasting is difficult, focus on your symptoms. Write down a list of potential symptoms and have a checkbox next to them to see if you have them, to remind yourself, because they just go under the radar. And the problem with this is then we feel helpless. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to give people power, right? We're trying to get people away from the idea that there's nothing I could do. What do I got to take my uterus out. I got to have my breast taken out. I got to have my gallbladder taken out. I got to be on these drugs. I have to. I don't have any other choice, because we don't know, because we have this sense of disconnection from our bodies, and we don't really understand what's happening. We're not intimate with our bodies, ironically, because it's the most intimate thing that there is. And there's this convenient authority structure, not authority structure that has been set up. The authority structure, the authority scaffolding involves the government. It involves the drug companies. It involves the hospitals, the insurance companies, the medical people. Even just to get a checkup these days, you've got to interact with the medical model. Just to check your blood pressure, you've got to somehow immerse yourself into the institution of medicine. I did a video a couple days ago, and I got really excited, and it's like going to go viral here, but I was yelling about the institutions versus the individuals. I'm not going to do that here, but we are individuals. We have different interests than institutions. Institutions bleed green. Follow me? The institutions bleed green. We bleed red. Institutions don't die. People die. Institutions don't get cancer. Institutions don't have children. Institutions don't have parents. Institutions don't lose their jobs. Institutions don't have the same requirements or needs as individuals. And if we give our power away to institutions, we're going to get crushed, which is what's happening. And it's bad in this country, but it's beyond words in Canada and in Europe. It's unbelievable when you get free, when the authority structure entrenches itself into your life by giving it to you for free. Yeah, we'll give it to you for free, but you're going to be locked in for the rest from birth to death.
something interesting that Jonathan Emord mentioned, and it's a term that you hear a lot in almost a different context. But he said, "We are the sovereigns. We're the ones who have the power," and and it's kind of turned on its head here.
Of course.
Although we're the sovereigns, we give away all
Of
power.
course. Well, you know how they train elephants? An elephant is, that story how they train elephants?
They tie something, you put a
When it's a
post.
baby,
Yeah.
when it's a baby and it can't get out, it's called learned helplessness. And it actually involves serotonin, by the way. It involves neurotransmitters. So learned helplessness is a mechanism of control. They teach us to be helpless. That's why, number one, we're here to wake people up. And that's why, number two, if we wake up people too much, we get cut off. Right? We're here to wake people up. But if we wake people up too much and too quickly, you won't be seeing us.
Yes.
Right?
We've banned from YouTube for 2 weeks.
That's maybe forever. Yeah. Maybe forever.
We've already been banned for saying.
All right. So that's what happens. That's why you got, that's what happens when you give away your power to the institutions. It's exactly right, because the institution doesn't care about the individual. So what nutritional supplementation represents is the last great bastion of health sovereignty. The last one, and it's the last one because it's on the way out. It's already out in other countries. Like you can't get 100 milligrams or 200 milligrams of vitamin C. I tried to get my skincare products registered in Australia. I couldn't do it. Too much vitamin C in there, in the products, in the topicals. No, it's the last great bastion for now of health independence and sovereignty for us and our families and our friends and people we know is nutritional supplementation. And this is what longevity has always stood for. We have always stood for health autonomy, health freedom through nutrition. And that's what's available. Health autonomy. Look, people, yes, you get free medicine if you're in Europe and Canada. Yes, you get cheap medicine if you're on Medicare and insurance, et cetera, et cetera. You don't want that. That's not going to get you better, and that's going to only make things worse in the long run. Not a single one of those remedies, drugs, procedures, whatever, is going to heal your body, is going to reverse your body's dysfunctional biochemistry back to functional biochemistry. Nothing, except we have allowed the institutions, I don't want to be specific about people, but the institutions, we've allowed them to tell us, set the goal for us. So the goal is not to have your blood pressure, to have your body's pressure restored. The goal is to lower the numbers. The job of a statin drug is not to control your biochemistry that's producing high cholesterol. It's to lower your cholesterol. One aspect of cholesterol, HDL they call it, which is even cholesterol. So we've allowed them to tell us what health is. Health is not that. Health is not metrics, and that's a distinction between clinical chemistry and biochemistry. I don't know if I've talked about that on this program. There's clinical chemistry, which is the chemistry of what's your cholesterol, what's your creatinine, what's your blood sugar, what's your TSH. That's the chemistry of numbers. Clinical chemistry is the chemistry of statistics. You're not a statistic. What are the three kinds of lies? There's, according to Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. Those are the three kinds of lies.
Yeah, I forgot that one.
Right?
Yes.
And statistics. You can make anything with statistics. You're not a statistic. Clinical chemistry is statistics. That's why I'm always skeptical of tests. Oh, I had allergy tests, and I had my blood tested, and I'm allergic to this, that, and the other, and I have parasites, and this, that, and the other. I'm not big on tests. You be the test. See how you feel. See what your body's like. Take some supplements to see if you improve. Take some digestive enzymes and apple cider vinegar, see if things improve. You be the test. Work on your liver. How are you eating? For the most part, what we think are good foods and we think is good eating is not necessarily. I was reading through the questions. Let's take some questions before I get on my high horse here about politics. Let's get some questions, because some of this stuff we're talking about will come out in the questions.
Pharmacist Ben, I'm going to start with an easy one. Two people specifically asked about the liver supplement on Coast to Coast that you mentioned?
That's Dr. Ariaz's liver cleanse.
Okay, let's give them the real name of that liver
True to
cleanse.
Life. I know I shouldn't have said that. It's called the True to Life Liver Detox, I think.
Yeah, because one of the questions is, how do you spell Ariaza?
I know. I shouldn't say it. I don't know why I called it that. I always called it that.
Well, maybe
Dr. Ariaz's liver cleanse.
Okay, yeah, I know, and because you're trying to, you're a gracious man. You're trying to give credit to Dr. Ariaza.
Let me tell you something. Dr. Ariaza, that guy's amazing. Dr. Luis, not only is he amazing, he's just a beautiful guy. Beautiful human being.
Ruth Ellen, would you give us a link for that liver cleanse so that I can share that with the folks so they can see where to get it and the name of it, the proper name of it.
Do we have people? Do we have people from the call from Coast to Coast?
Well, they got an email, so I'm sure that there are some people who have turned in.
If you're from Coast to Coast, say hello. If you're from Coast to Coast, say hello.
Coach Rod is on. Wyoming.
Hi, Rod.
On.
Coach Rod.
LP Billingham does have a question, but we're going to just keep moving because I have some quick ones. Recently, your Moment of Truth segments are no longer received with my Gmail account. If possible, please resend that. Maybe
Jaunty. That should be Jaunty.
A Jaunty
Get
question.
Jaunty on that one.
You mentioned redness on the face or rosacea could be effective high histamine foods. Is there a natural antihistamine that could remedy?
There's lots. Oh yeah. There's lots of natural.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Wait a second.
I'm waiting.
That sounds like a question that doesn't understand the root cause. Because they're asking for natural.
Elaborate.
They're asking for a natural antihistamine as opposed to understanding what is causing the histamine response in the first place.
Okay, that's a good point. So here's the thing. Histamine is made by bacteria. It's also made by immune cells. Between histamine and bacteria and histamine and immune cells, you have the major causes of a histamine response in the body. Those major causes can be exacerbated by certain foods that either have histamine in them or trigger a histamine response. One or the other. There's also some foods that actually suppress the body's ability to break down histamine, but I don't want to go there. Also, when a woman's estrogen changes, her ability to process histamine will change as well. Okay? So menopausal women, perimenopausal women will often have redness around the cheeks where they never had it before, or even women who are not, younger women who are not handling their estrogen correctly. So that's one thing. The most important thing, and estrogen is also an intestinal hormone, by the way. So it's all about the intestine. And listen, like I said earlier, we have to get it through our heads that foods and digestion are the key to everything. And the reason I say that is because it's just so much resistance to that. Because of hyperpalatability. Hyperpalatability is uber deliciousness. And foods have been engineered. That alone should tell you, the fact that foods are engineered should be a problem, right? Just saying that. Foods have been engineered to be hyperpalatable. So they're irresistible. They know how to make them irresistible. And their irresistibility is around happiness. Foods make us happy. Now, under ordinary circumstances, foods do make us happy. That's good. When you're like foraging for berries in the African savannah or whatever, yes, food will make you happy. But we have, it's like in our culture, we'd go to all these extremes. We've gone to the extreme of happiness. And of course, the extreme of happiness ultimately is not very happy. Happiness is happiness because it only happens occasionally. If it was all the time, you wouldn't notice it. There's no delta. There's no difference, right? You can only notice happiness if there's unhappiness. If everything's always the same, right? And so foods today have been, they're at the extreme edge. I see you're thinking about this, but doesn't it make sense? You have to have unhappiness, no happiness.
It makes sense. I mean, it's like you don't know the night if there's no day.
You don't. Yeah, you don't. It's contrast.
I understand
so foods today have been engineered to be hyper palatable, not like low or high, like steady state hyperpalatability, almost to the point was when they're removed, you crash. So we become addicted to those foods. And this is wreaking havoc on us. Gastric cancer, colon cancer, digestive cancers, they're all up. Digestive diseases are up. And doctors are mystified. You know, didn't we talk about last week, colon cancer in the young? They're all up. Because, and you know how long it's been? Like 40 or 50 years. When I was in pharmacy school in the 80s, 40 years ago, right? They told us in 40 years, this is all going to be happening. They saw it with obesity and with diabetes, and they didn't have metabolic syndrome. They didn't know what that was. They didn't call it that. That didn't happen until like 20 years later. Syndrome X, they used to call it. I did a talk on Syndrome X at a longevity annual meeting in New Orleans in 2001. Metabolic syndrome used to be called Syndrome X. And I said, I listed it all together because it was obvious. High blood pressure, liver problems, skin problems, hormone, ED, cardiovascular disease, blood sugar issues, they all go together. They're all metabolic syndrome. They call it Syndrome X back then. And so we got to get it through our heads. It's about food. It's about food in the macro sense through the digestive system, and it's about food in the quantum sense through the metabolic system. Period. Everything else is secondary.
Mm-hmm. Intestinal permeability.
Intestinal permeability, yeah, all of it. Dysbiosis, intestinal permeability, SIBO, inflammation. And remember, once you have a problem at the level of the intestine, two things happen. One is the toxins go through, but the other is you don't absorb your nutrients. So now you're dealing with this toxic burden with no nutrition. Listen, you got to focus on the food, on the digestion. And if you want to do something simple, because there's all these different diets out there and all these different ways to eat, good foods and bad foods, blah, 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 blah. You know, vegetarian or pescatarian or omnivore or carnivore, whatever it is, eat less food. You ever see that the cows with the chicken, eat more chicken? Eat less food.
Right.
Eat less food, that alone. And then hopefully, you know, what you are eating is food, not ultra processed food, which is made out of food components, if that, food or non-food components.
Related question from Kathy: how do I prevent UTIs?
Guess how? Based on everything I just said.
Well, right. You know,
UTIs are histamine. UTIs are a classic histamine response. Classic. Except the nerves are very sensitive there, so it's even worse. Classic. Dysbiosis. Guaranteed. If she has chronic UTIs, guaranteed she's got gut problems. Put her on. Is she on there?
No. These are questions that came in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's related because, you know, if your gut microbiome is
exactly
horrible,
you got proliferation, hyperproliferation in the microbiome. You got spreading of secretions. They make histamine. The microbiome makes histamine. The bacteria can in the intestine can break down the mucosa, the gut barrier. It's called the gut bladder connection, by the way. The gut bladder. You know how you have the gut brain and gut skin. This is the gut bladder.
Interesting. And
yes.
You can go to Triangle of Disease.
Guess what they'll give you for your UTIs?
Antibiotics.
Which, of course, you know, makes the problem ultimately even worse.
Right.
Even though occasionally, if you have an occasional UTI, killing the bacteria can help for sure. But when you have chronic, that's when you're running into some kind of metabolic issue, not just an infection. Even if you have an infection, there's probably some metabolic things going on. But when you have chronic, that's your body screaming for help. There's a metabolic issue. Do you know what I mean when I say metabolic issue? Because that's really important. A metabolic issue is a biochemistry issue. The vast majority of the biochemistry in the body is metabolic, meaning it either builds or breaks down. It either builds, costing energy, or breaks down, releasing energy. One or the other, anabolic, catabolic. And everything in the body, the vast majority, I think maybe a couple of things, genetics, there aren't, but for the most part, it's all metabolic. And so it's all biochemistry. So if you have a chronic condition, work with the metabolism. Work with the biochemistry. That's really the key to everything. And when you go to a doctor, you're going to get clinical chemistry, not biochemistry. And that's the key. That's why I always make, I tease people about the word doctor, because they're doctoring you. They're not working on your biochemistry. They're working on your statistics, on your numbers. They're not working on you. They're working on the representation of you. You know what I'm saying? The symbol of you. They're not working on you. They're working on your algorithm. You're not an algorithm.
They're working on your straw man.
On your straw man. That's exactly right. You hit the nail on the head. They're working on your straw man. That's exactly what they're doing. But we're letting them. We're letting them.
Pharmacist Ben, I got a question for you. Back to UTI. Why does vitamin C? I know that a lot of times they recommend a woman will have cranberry supplements.
The acid. Well, cranberry's got slime.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be cranberry's good because it's got some of the flavonoids and such. But anything that's slimy, fucoidin, you're sliming the bacteria away. Cranberry. You ever hear mannose? They do mannose. Sometimes people say mannose.
That's exactly what I was going to mention.
Yeah, all of these are slimy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The slimy stuff slimes the bacteria away. That's one of the ways the body, we talked about it last week, how the body gets rid of things. It slimes it. So excess slime in your body, mucus, I'm calling it slime, but mucus is a sign that your body's trying to get rid of something. And by supporting mucus, you can improve the body's ability to get rid of stuff. Mushrooms. It's one of the ways mushrooms work. Algae, certain herbs like slippery elm or mullein, and polysaccharides, high hyaluronic acid, glucans, beta glucan. These have a slimy quality to slime things away.
Interessant. And how to rebuild or strengthen knee cartilage?
Well, first of all, there's approach it from two directions. You want to avoid anything that's inflammatory. And let me just talk about that real quickly before we get to this question. I find inflammation to be fascinating. And every disease is inflammation. Every one. Every single chronic disease is inflammatory. So don't you think we should know what inflammation is, given that that's disease? There's no disease without inflammation, right? So what is inflammation? In your opinion, what is it? I know you've heard me say it probably, but what is it?
My opinion, inflammation is a response to a problem, an invader.
That's it. It's a reaction.
It's a reaction.
It's a response to an action. What's more specifically, more granular, it's a defensive response. It's a protective response to an action. Okay, so it's a response to an action. If you want to stop a response to an action, right, the response is causing you problems, what do you think the logical thing to do is?
Stop giving the catalyst. Stop
the action.
Yeah.
If you don't like the reaction, stop the action.
I made an analogy to someone yesterday, and they couldn't grasp how what they were doing was affecting them. And I said, well, you ever been around a dog or someone with a dog? I said, you approach their door, what happens? The dog starts barking. I said, the dog is responding to someone approaching the home.
Right.
Right.
You want the dog to stop barking. You can put a muzzle on him, or you can hit him in the head or drug him or whatever. Right. But wouldn't it be better to stop the trigger? Don't go up to the door.
Come to the door. Yeah. Right. Or something to that effect.
Or something to that effect. That's what, to me, that seems like the most logical thing to do. But why I find it so fascinating is because our diseases are defensive. We are in a physiological defense posture. We're in a chronic physiological anatomical defensive posture. And this affects everything. And it is a metaphor for our mental defensive posture that we go through life with. We are going through life with this wall of defense around us. Follow? We're living our lives. Isn't that interesting? It's fascinating. We have created a society and a culture where we're in a constant defensive posture, right? And that's why we have this dysfunctional culture. And it's partially, at least maybe it's fully, I don't know, but it's at least partially intentional because people are easier to control when they're scared. And so we're encouraged to be scared. When we're scared, we go into this defensive posture, and our bodies are in a chronic defensive posture. If you want to do something simple to reverse this defensive posture, talk to your body. Love your body. Send your body love. Talk to it. Tell it how much you love it, how thankful you are. Literally, like it's a being, which it is. You know, I told you that story when I broke my leg, and I could feel my leg. It was sad. It was really, really sad. You know, and that's how our bodies are. And I talk to people all day. I get their letters. I know their bodies are sad. And their bodies are sad because they're in this chronic, constant state of fear.
Did you everywhere. Did you buy your leg flowers?
I didn't buy it, but I talked to it. And I had my friend rub her. She had a special herbal balm, and she would rub it on my leg. I gave it a lot of love, and I healed really well.
I know you did. But you need to give some specific examples how to rebuild this knee cartilage.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry, I digressed there. So, number one, inflammatory foods out, inflammatory factors out. Inflammation will destroy cartilage. That's number one. Number two, anything that builds the connective tissue, i.e. the healthy bone and joint pack. Healthy bone and joint pack. And every time you take your healthy bone and joint pack supplements, you want to take them with the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, glucosamine, or whatever yours you're taking. I throw in Ultimate Selenium and MSM Sulfur and the TMR Shake and exercise.
Why moving. Selenium?
I would put in selenium because of selenoprotein enzymes that are involved with building cartilage.
Mm-hmm. What are inflammatory foods?
Anything for you that's inflammatory, but processed foods, fried oils, seeds, snack foods, processed, chips, things that come in a bag.
You don't mention wheat, barley, rye, oats, and buckwheat.
No, because it's anything that you react to. There's things in corn, there's that are problematic. There's things in oats that are no, you said oats, but there's things in corn that are problematic. There's things in millet that are problematic. You have to go by you. I don't like these preconceived.
I understand. Yeah. But you often talk about any flour also producing oil.
There's a small amount of rancid oil and flour. Yeah.
So you're suggesting nothing baked?
Not at high temperature. You mean oils baked? No oils to be baked at high temperature.
Well, I meant no gluten-free cake.
No. And listen, it's not like zero tolerance. We don't want to have this idea that, I can't eat anything, or, I ate something, so now it doesn't matter what I do. It's not zero tolerance. Have a little, don't have any. You get to decide. If you have zero, you'll get maximum benefits. If you have half, you'll get half benefits. If you have 10%, you'll get 90% benefits. It's you just decide where you want to be on the spectrum.
Are there any anti-inflammatory foods?
Berries, like not sweet berries, but it's hard because now everything's been genetically modified. But theoretically, berries are probably your most anti-inflammatory food. Fruits in general, fruits and veggies. Fruits and veggies contain what are called adaptogens, and these adaptogens are not. Sometimes they're in the cell and they're utilized in chemistry, but for the most part, they just kind of make it easier for the body to experience stressors, adaptogens. They help us adapt. And so veggies and fruits are really the anti-inflammatory. They're going to have pretty much universally be anti-inflammatory.
I did not look this up. This is a question from Nick. I have SMA. And
SMA, I have to see what that stands for.
Well, maybe we'll get it. It's got something to do with nerves and spasms.
I don't know my acronyms that well.
I don't know either. Let's see if I can look it up. But I will read the question. And I'm a 46-year-old man. I have been getting on a frequent basis very bad nerve spasms in my feet, and sometimes.
Is this the same guy?
This is one guy.
No, is this the SMA guy?
Has SMA.
Okay.
Has very bad nerve spasms in feet, sometimes in thighs and hips.
Okay, the A probably stands for atrophy. Look it up. Muscular atrophy of some kind, I'm imagining. And what is the S?
Spinal
muscular atrophy. Okay.
Wow.
So what is that? He has SMA. He doesn't have SMA. Correct him. What does he have? MBFA. His body's falling apart. So, except it's happening at the level of the nerves. So he's got the nerves and the muscles are deteriorating. That's my body's falling apart disease. So then the question becomes why? Well, you tell me why, and give a plausible mechanism. First of all, you'll know what I'm going to say, right? Digestive system, and then metabolic system.
Okay.
It's everything. It's everything. I'm telling you, one day you're going to wake up and you're going to say, what do we need Pharmacist Ben for? He says the same thing over and over again. But that's what it is. I just like to tell you the mechanism because it's interesting, and also because it gives us a little bit of respect and understanding of the body, how it all goes together. So what causes inflammation? First of all, it's inflammatory. You understand that. Everything's inflammatory, right?
Okay.
Do you want, maybe we should talk about why inflammation is a problem? Do we want to talk about that?
We can.
Or should we just assume? Because why it's a problem is very interesting. But in the meantime, let's finish with this guy. He has an inflammatory condition of the muscles and the nerves. Where does inflammation start? It starts in the blood. Where does it come from? Is the blood, but where does it start? The digestive system. Bingo. Right from the get-go. And at this point, he's probably malabsorption. He's not absorbing his nutrients either. So right at this point, you put him on a food diary. If he could fast, that'd be great. He probably can't, but just put him on a food diary. We write down everything you eat and start pounding the digestive supplements, digestive support supplements. Listen, you guys, this is for everything, especially if it's a serious degenerative condition like muscular atrophy, and to the point where this guy's in this kind of chronic pain at the level of his feet. Right? He's got a spinal condition, but it's now going on. It's like all the way down. Right? Obviously, the spine controls everything, but it's down at his extremities. He's got that metabolic syndrome. He's probably overweight. But right now, we're going to deal with first things first. I would guess that there's a syndrome, right? This is a syndrome. Muscular deterioration, muscular atrophy does not happen unless it happens in a syndrome. It doesn't happen by itself. That is a significant bodily breakdown. That's a significant biochemical disruption. It's not going to happen on its own. It has to happen as part of a complex of symptoms, lots of things. So right away, get them on a digestive support. Stop the food diary and eliminate problem foods. Eat less food, soups, vegetable juices, all the digestive support supplements, ultimate enzymes, I-26 for sure, Daily Digest. And remember, you're also going to have malabsorption. So liquid nutrition and liquid supplements. BTT, but also he might benefit from the plant-derived colloidal minerals, the mineral toddy, just the mineral toddy. And don't overwhelm him. You want to get hit. He should have results quickly. You understand what I'm saying?
Interestingly, the spasms are mostly on my right side. I take Tangy.
Is he listening? He's live?
He is. This is another question.
Okay.
I'll go back to the live. I'll go to some live questions, but I've got a ton of these other questions. I didn't even put in the email to you all the questions. I just put in a few of the questions.
We should do like FAQs. We should have like a little FAQ thing going on, but that's okay. Well, I'll talk to you about that later.
Okay. He takes Tangy, Tangerine, I-26, magnesium, electrolytes, B complex. He eats bananas twice a day for his potassium. For medication, he takes gabapentin and baclofen, but it doesn't help me that much. He started homeopathic pills. It doesn't solve the problem.
Come on. Anybody who recommends homeopathic pills for something like this should be ashamed of themselves.
He tried
not the person. He's breaking down, dude. He's breaking down. That's all. You're breaking down, bro. You're breaking down. That's it. You don't need to know anything else. Here's how it works. We said metabolism, right? Metabolism is anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is buildup. Catabolism is breakdown. Buildup and breakdown equal metabolism. The sum total of your biochemistry is the sum total of breakdown and buildup. In business, we call it in the red, in the black. Bottom line. Your bottom line is either net catabolic, you're in the black, in the red, or it's net anabolic, you're in the black. Guess where our friend is?
In the red.
In the red. Going broke.
He's
in the red. He's going broke. So now we got to reverse that equation. How do you reverse the equation? First of all, anything that's blocking, building anabolism, You get rid of that. That's the food.
Fasting.
Okay. Well, no, yeah, fasting's good, but
Fasting's easy.
specifically eliminating the problem foods. Eliminating the problem foods, whatever they are for him. Seed oils, gluten. I don't want to give him a list of things he should avoid. Whatever's bad for him, whatever he notices is a problem. Okay, he'll know. This is a guy who's got serious digestive issues. He'll know. And then you've eliminated the problems. Then you start pounding in the nutrients. Anabolic nutrients especially, but also cofactors. Protein, the king of that's the quintessential anabolic food. So TMR shake, whey protein, protein foods, eggs, building foods, anabolic foods.
What about the HGH amino complex?
He's got bigger fish to fry than that. TMR shake, nature's whey protein or TMR shake. And that'll help him get off the sugar and the fast burning foods that are going to mess up his metabolism. Then you do all the digestive support. I-26 is a must-have. Daily Digest, True to Life Liver Cleanse, or Dr. R's Liver Cleanse, whatever you want to call it. Ultimate Enzymes, apple cider vinegar with your meals, or BTT with your meals. Just treat yourself like you have a serious digestive issue, which you do. Don't overthink it. Later, we can start working with the metabolic issues with the sugar, because that's going to be a problem too. But for now, we got to stop the bleeding. And when I say bleeding, I mean stuff getting into the bloodstream through the intestine. We got to stop that. You got a major leak in your boat. We got to patch up the leak. Then we'll start tweaking things. Homeopathic, really, with this kind of stuff going on, homeopathic is like, putting a touch-up paint on the side of your boat when you got this huge hole in it.
What if he got his problem because somebody injected him with something?
That would have to be something serious, a serious poison that got into his system. I mean, conceivably, yeah. That could conceivably. That's true. What you said is very interesting, because I'm always saying how it's digestion unless you're injecting, and for most people they aren't injecting. But that is one way that you can get stuff in the blood without it being a digestive issue. But given our food today and the way we all eat, it's, if you had to bet, it would be a good bet to say it was coming in through food.
Nerves, you always talk about the B vitamins in particular.
Absolutely.
Particularly, you talk about
B1.
Thiamine. Regarding the nerves.
Absolutely.
My question from Cassandra, what is the best way to supplement with your vitamin B as well as B12? Does Tangy Tangerine offer enough without supplementation?
No. You'd probably want more than the BTT, but the BTT's got a good amount, considering what where you get most places. I think high doses. I'm a big believer in high doses of vitamin B1.
Okay, when you say BTT doesn't have enough, I just want.
Let me grab it before I say that. I don't think it has. I didn't say it doesn't have enough. I said it doesn't have.
I want to point out that on the back of BTT, you'll see it says 41,000 times the B12. As the
B12, no, B12. You're right, but I was going to see B1 here.
B1's got to be at least 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah, it's about 3,000 times the RDA, but the RDA is so ridiculous.
Okay, so you're
but if you do your BTT throughout the day, you'll have to see. I can't tell you for sure, but you'll have to see. You're going to get some niacin. You get 100 milligrams of niacin probably, which is a good dose. There's something called. So what's vitamin B1 deficiency called? Beriberi, right? I can't. Do you know there's something called GI beriberi?
You've mentioned that to me in the
past. GI beriberi is chronic constipation. How many people do you know that have that problem? And because, by the way, B1 is important for the brain, there's your Parkinson's connection right there. So, you're not making, if you have a dysbiosis, or if you have some kind of, if you have B1 deficiency and you're chronically constipated, that could ultimately, that B1 deficiency could ultimately be one of the reasons why you have, or that digestive issue, that chronic constipation could be one of the reasons why you have Parkinson's. Chronic constipation and Parkinson's go hand in hand.
B-Dash on Rumble says, what temperature do you say is a high temperature?
Everybody's going to be different, but I don't know. 99, 100. Everybody's going to be different. It depends on how you feel. If you're chronically high temperature, there might be something metabolically going on with you.
For
For
baking.
baking, what does that mean?
In other words, you said don't. That's funny. Thanks for including that now, Rita. She said, so the question was, based on the fact that we said, don't bake at high heat. You said don't use a high heat when you're baking. I asked you about baking.
Oh, high temperature. Okay, gotcha. You don't want to smoke any heat. Oils you're talking about?
Well, let's not even talk.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know exactly. Listen, I'm not trying to give you like specific information on how to hold. I'm not Mr. Nutrition guy. Okay, I'm just a chemist. I'm telling you how the whole thing works. You got to go. I don't know the answer to that. Everybody's going to be different. When you ask about high temperature, everybody. If you were talking about body temperature
for baking,
but baking temperature, I don't know the answer to that. Okay, I can tell you heat denatures proteins, but it also releases amino acids too. So, you don't want too much heat, but you want enough. What temperature is that going to be? I don't know what temperature that's going to be, where that is. But in principle, too much heat destroys things. Just enough heat releases things.
Linda on Rumble is asking, do you believe in taking a green drink each morning upon awakening?
I don't believe in it. I mean, I believe in God. I don't believe in taking a green drink. I'm not sure what you mean by believe in it.
You think it's a good idea to have a green drink each morning when you wake up?
It's a good idea to make your own green drink because I'm very suspicious about what green drinks really are. It would be great to make a green drink before you go to bed, stick it in the fridge, and drink it in the morning when you get up. Absolutely. It's even better to do it fresh though. Because as it's, if you keep it in the fridge, it's probably going to retain a lot of its value. But definitely, if you do it fresh. As far as a powdered green drink, I haven't seen green drinks so-called that are just greens. They always have other things in them, and so I'm not a big fan of those. But theoretically, yes, absolutely. I would say I believe in it, but I think it's a good thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Linda also says the person that mentioned muscle spasms, hers stops when she drinks the Osteo-fx.
That's very interesting. Absolutely, that's really interesting. That could be that's a good thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, Rebound. Mm-hmm. Electrolytes can help. And if Osteo-fx is helping her, that could be an electrolyte issue.
Well, I'm thinking about the contraction and the.
Well, there's magnesium in there too, I think, isn't there?
Calcium and magnesium.
Yeah, she may have a magnesium issue, or a calcium issue for that matter.
Annie, what about thiamine in the form of TTFD or
Benfotiamine? Yeah, they're all great. They're a little pricey, but they're all great.
Okay, Bruce, why do people have to wear an oxygen tube all the time, except when they get up to go to the bathroom, and then they get back, they have to hook back up to the oxygen? Bruce lives in a senior community.
Yeah, so here's the thing about that. It's just convenience. They can get away without having some oxygen for a minute or two to go to the bathroom, so you don't have to drag your oxygen tank with you. It's just convenience. When you're on oxygen, it's not like without oxygen you drop dead. You're just going to be very weak and eventually you'll drop dead. But it's not like you have zero oxygen. All right, AJ, they're calling me. This is my 8. Let's do one more here real quick.
Real quick. This is a woman that you started to answer, but I'm going to skip that one and go to this one. 69-and-a-half-year-old male, feet and eyes, having some issues with them. They say
what eyes? Say that again.
69-and-a-half-year-old male. He's having eye issues.
Oh, eye issues
and feet issues.
Okay.
And the doctors say it's all age related.
He's 59.
Yeah, he's 69.
Metabolic syndrome.
You say
metabolic syndrome.
You said something about the blood and intestine.
Metabolic syndrome, and it starts off.
A healthy
Yeah, I would get them on the healthy start. Well, metabolic syndrome, those are, you know that as well as anybody. That's all metabolic syndrome, which of course follows digestive issues. So have we said anything today that's not the first 2 points on the triangle of disease?
No.
Nothing. Digestion, blood sugar. digestion, metabolism, metabolic syndrome. All right, AJ.
Pharmacist Ben, I'm going to
been
let
a
you
pleasure.
go. Everybody else who's watching, I'm going to premiere another video that I made as a result of Pharmacist Ben's teachings. And
oh wow, send it to me. Don't hold out on me.
I can't hold out on my guy.
Send it to me. I'll call you when I'm done here. I got a bunch of stuff I got to do.
Everybody, give him a round of applause for the rapid fire. Thank you, Pharmacist Ben.
Good to talk to you. Metabolic syndrome, digestive health, metabolic syndrome. Bye.
Thank you. And everybody, you all have a good evening. I'm going to hope that this thing loads quick enough so that you can see it. If you have any particular questions, email us questions@dailywithdoc.com, or let's see, might be a good way to also, you can call the number at the bottom of the screen, 855-949-3377. And I appreciate my teammate Ruth Ellen for helping us out tonight. Oh, I didn't forget. Gotcha. And Mary, thank you for being here. And I'm going to just play the outro. I'm going to start with one of our videos and hope that in the next 5 minutes, this other one finishes processing. Thanks for tuning in.
A diagnosis of ALS, or severe muscle wasting, is often treated as an inescapable genetic sentence. The prevailing medical view is that your body has simply decided to fail, and there is no intervention capable of stopping the decline. When we view these conditions as a systemic metabolic breakdown, the focus shifts from a mysterious destiny to a mechanical reality. We stop looking for curses and start looking for failures in the body's self-repair systems. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs describes human health as a constant balancing act on a biological seesaw. On one side is anabolism, building tissue. On the other, catabolism, breaking it down. In extreme muscle wasting, that seesaw violently snaps. The body becomes trapped in runaway catabolism. It's a terrifying reality. Your body is actively consuming its muscle tissue, literally eating itself faster than it can patch the damage and rebuild. You cannot out-medicate this state of decay. To actually halt the decline, you have to answer the root question: what triggered the body to attack its own tissue in the first place? There is a core principle in holistic health. Where you see the problem is almost never where the problem begins. To understand dying muscles in the limbs, we have to trace the physiological forensics backward, straight to the digestive system. When you consume highly inflammatory foods, like processed fats and refined sugars, they damage the delicate lining of your intestines. Over time, these irritants punch microscopic holes in that barrier, a condition known as leaky gut. Instead of absorbing nutrients, your compromised gut allows a flood of bacterial debris and undigested food particles to leak directly into your bloodstream. This debris turns the blood thick and toxic, a state Pharmacist Ben calls dirty blood. To protect your vital organs from this contamination, your body shunts this debris toward the periphery, the connective tissues and limbs. Simultaneously, the blood thickens in an immune response to trap the toxins. This sluggish, hypercoagulable blood can no longer navigate the microscopic capillaries that feed your cells, leaving the muscles suffocating and functionally starving. Bathed in this acidic, oxygen-depleted environment, the muscle tissue reaches a breaking point. Individual cells begin to die, and as Ben describes it, they literally explode, spewing their internal enzymes and acids directly into the surrounding tissue. This cell explosion creates a vicious cycle. The debris from the ruptured cells floods the kidneys, straining your primary filters, and triggering massive inflammation that drives the body into even more aggressive muscle catabolism. You cannot rebuild a house in the middle of a hurricane. Before any repair can begin, you must execute an emergency triage response and completely cut off the stream of toxicity. The fastest way to do that is a 24 to 48-hour water fast. By stopping the intake of food entirely, you stop the influx of toxins and give your hyperactive immune system and overworked digestive tract a mandatory reset. When you resume eating, the guesswork has to end. You must keep a strict food diary to track how your body responds to every meal, allowing you to identify and permanently eliminate the specific triggers causing your inflammation. With the toxic influx stopped, you have to clean up the wreckage in the blood. This requires taking systemic enzymes, specifically ultimate enzymes, on a completely empty stomach. Because there is no food in the stomach to digest, these enzymes pass directly into the bloodstream. They act like a roto-rooter for the vascular system, seeking out and dissolving the inflammatory proteins and dead cellular debris clogging the blood flow. By sealing the gut, neutralizing the blood debris, and aggressively flushing the kidneys with water and plant-derived minerals, the emergency is contained. The body is finally prepared for the rebuilding phase. Now you transition to the offensive strategy. To restore the atrophied limbs, you have to move the biological seesaw out of breakdown and back into anabolism. Muscles are composed almost entirely of protein. Synthesizing new muscle fibers is chemically impossible if your body lacks the exact raw materials required to build them. You must saturate your system with branched-chain amino acids and whey protein. These are the building blocks that trigger muscle repair and growth without placing a heavy metabolic burden on your digestive system. Creatine is also a necessary addition for any condition involving muscle wasting. It provides the essential energy to protect fragile, recovering muscle tissue while simultaneously supporting neurological health. But muscle fibers do not exist in a vacuum. They require a physical, structural matrix, the body's internal scaffolding, to attach and anchor themselves to. The healthy bone and joint pack, glucogel caps, and collagen peptides provide the critical goo and fibers necessary to rebuild the entire physical framework that holds the muscles in place. A rebuilt structure and new muscle fibers provide the potential for movement, but the nerves provide the command. Without a healthy electrical signal, the muscles remain dormant. To restore the grid, you have to saturate the cells with all 90 essential nutrients, focusing specifically on those that facilitate electrical nerve conduction. This brings us to thiamine, or vitamin B1. Historical biochemical discoveries proved that severe nerve pain and the wooden legs of peripheral neuropathy were directly reversed by reintroducing this vitamin to the diet. Thiamine restores the electrical conduction required for nerves to function. It allows signals from the brain to travel without interruption and successfully fire the muscle fibers. This is the protocol's goal: clean blood, rebuilt structure, and restored electrical signals working together in perfect coordination. A diagnosis of severe muscle wasting is not a mandate for passive decline. By controlling the gut, clearing the blood, and feeding the growth pathways, patients have the agency to redirect their metabolism from active breakdown towards structural renewal.
Interesting, folks. So now this is the world premiere of reversing my body is falling apart disease. Go.
Fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, and sudden weight gain act as internal stress fractures across the entire body. Pharmacist Ben Fuchs identifies this systemic collapse as MBFA, or my body is falling apart disease. In human biochemistry, the location of a symptom is rarely the place where the biological breakdown originated. This triangle diagram illustrates the 3 points of systemic breakdown: the digestive system, the blood sugar system, and the adrenal-thyroid complex. When compromised, they drip particulate matter and excess sugar directly into the bloodstream, contaminating the internal environment. Inside the vessel, this creates a state of dirty blood. The fluid becomes thick and sludgy, clumping together at capillary bottlenecks and preventing oxygen from reaching the cells. Resolving these diverse symptoms requires shifting focus away from the fractures and executing a 4-step biological repair plan to fix the triangle's foundation. Step 1 cuts off the supply of toxicity by isolating your specific inflammatory triggers. To do this, construct a tracking system with 3 data columns: the food you eat, the time exactly 8 to 12 hours later, and any resulting symptoms. Do not look for immediate reactions in the minutes following a meal. Toxins require a specific transit time through the gut. It takes nearly half a day for them to leak into the blood and trigger a measurable immune response. You are looking for patterns where seemingly healthy foods, like spinach, tomatoes, or gluten, consistently correlate with brain fog or joint pain many hours after consumption. Identifying these unique triggers allows you to stop the continuous influx of material that makes your blood toxic. Step 2 involves scheduling a 24 to 48-hour water-only fasting window to clear the system. Pausing food intake gives the immune system and the digestive tract a mandatory period of rest. During this window, energy is redirected toward a process called autophagy. As shown here, cells begin to actively break down and dissolve internal pockets of accumulated waste debris. Break this fast gently. Reintroduce nutrients with bone broth or light protein, rather than a heavy, carbohydrate-dense meal. This reset provides rapid symptomatic relief and prepares your metabolic system for the next phase of the protocol. Step 3 focuses on metabolism. This requires removing refined sugars, fast-burning carbohydrates, and inflammatory seed oils from your diet. This split screen shows the mechanism of glycation. On the left, elevated blood sugar acts as a caustic agent, physically burning the inner wall of the capillary. On the right, the wall remains smooth and unobstructed. Shifting toward a low-carbohydrate or ketogenic plate stops this active vascular damage and allows insulin levels to drop. As the body stabilizes, your cells become more sensitive to insulin, energy levels even out, and stubborn inflammatory fat begins to mobilize. Stabilizing blood sugar turns the bloodstream into a vehicle for nutrient delivery instead of a source of vascular erosion. Step 4 is the daily structural repair regimen designed to patch the gut and clear existing blood toxicity. To physically seal the gaps in the intestinal barrier, the body requires raw materials like FucoidZ, collagen peptides, and specific bone and joint nutrients. Once the barrier is secured, you can address bacterial balance using I-26 and nightly essence probiotics. Introduce these probiotics gradually. Introducing them too quickly can cause gastrointestinal distress as the microbiome shifts. Finally, we use ultimate enzymes to clean the blood. Note that taking these enzymes with food will only aid in digesting your meal. These must be taken on a completely empty stomach. This allows them to enter the bloodstream and act as a biological roto-rooter, dissolving inflammatory clumps and restoring smooth circulation. Systematically patching the gut and clearing the blood targets the core loop that keeps the bloodstream toxic and sludgy. The blueprint is now complete: a tracking system for triggers, a scheduled fasting reset, a low-carb metabolic plan, and a structural repair protocol. By addressing the foundations of the triangle of disease, you have stopped chasing individual symptoms and started addressing the systemic source of MBFA. These protocols provide a clear, repeatable system for identifying and managing the underlying biological triggers that drive systemic inflammation. Start the process right now. Open a notebook, log your last meal, and begin managing your own biological terrain.